Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Okay, today we're going to make something that is a family specialty. And I'm not going to make it the way I normally do in my family. So we usually make this with anise and anise seeds, but I'm going to actually make this the traditional Abruzzese way. And the flavoring for these cookies are actually lemon in Abruzzo. Now, I'm sure they do anise there too, vanilla, chocolate, the traditional flavors. But this is like what's billed as the most authentic recipe. And I've kind of tweaked it to match what I think makes a good pizzelle. So it's not the actual traditional recipe, it's my take on it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make what are called pizzelle, or they're also called faratelle, neole, or cancellate. Those are all different words for the same thing. This is a cookie that's very traditional to Abruzzo and the Rome region. And what it requires is it requires this tool here, which is a Pizzelle iron. Okay, this is my newest purchase. It's a really cool single Pizzelle iron. I've never seen a single one other than the stovetop version. In fact, the stovetop versions are all single, but most of them are double. So I'm going to take a little tour through them with you when we get to that part. But this is my grandparents' Pizzelle iron, and it's made by a company called Junta Brothers in Philadelphia. Now, I don't actually think it's made by Junta. I think it was sold by them, and it was made by Palmer, which is still in existence. They still make their products in the USA, and they also make them in Pennsylvania, in Western Pennsylvania. So I really love Palmer, and in addition, they make extremely good products. Some other companies also made variations of that. So this is a waffle maker. We just made chicken and waffles at my school in our cooking club. So I had this brought out, and it's actually a reversible plate. So we use the waffle plates, but I'm going to use this Pizzelle side as well. And the cool thing about this is it makes four pizzelles, and they look like they're going to be very thin pizzelles. So I'm interested to try that. A couple of the manufacturers did that to make double duty, which is a smart idea because it would sell to people in the Northeast. So that's the other thing. If you are in the Midwest or the South or the West, you probably are not familiar with this cookie. You may see it in stores, but this is really an Abruzzese cookie. So the Abruzzo population or Abruzzese Italians migrated mainly to Philadelphia. So, and the Northeast. So that was where these cookies are really popular. Um, in Pittsburgh too. There's That's where Palmer is that makes the irons. Okay, so let's get started. So we're gonna do this in 3 steps. Okay, the first step is we need 6 eggs. Okay, and I'm using this big bowl here, and we're gonna put cream, basically not cream, but we're gonna mix the butter, or I'm sorry, the sugar and the eggs together. And I'm going to tell you something, one of the steps that I did to change this recipe a little bit. And the recipe I got was from Italy. It was from a Italian reel, and the measurements were all in Italian. They were all metric, so I converted them and then changed it up a little bit. So I'll tell you what I changed up. So if you want to do the traditional one or try this way, you can do that. Okay, so we have our 6 eggs. Now, for each egg, you need 2 tablespoons of sugar. So that equates to 12 tablespoons of sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, you may notice that there's a little bit of a liquid in here. That's because that's my second change to the recipe, or I guess my first. I use this Nielsen Massey lemon pure paste, and that paste is like a sugar syrup with lemon oil extract. So I did that so that it kind of amps up the lemon flavor, and I think it's going to really make it taste good. These are really pure extracts too, so it's going to be, I think, really good. So that was one change. Now, I happen to have this this puree in my pantry. Normally, what I would say is you could use a drop of lemon oil, okay, pure lemon oil. That's what I would do if I didn't have this. But when I was digging through my pantry to find the lemon oil, I didn't have that, but I did have this, which works really good. So I just put a little less sugar in because it has the sugar in there to equal that out. Okay, so we're going to take our mixer, our hand mixer here, and we're going to mix this up. Okay. Oh, interesting. So one of our beaters fell in there. I'm going to just rinse that off so it doesn't gunk up the mixer. But so the other thing that I wanted to show you too with this mixer is that I found some. I've been looking for these. These are the dough hooks to these KitchenAid hand mixers. Okay. And that's really a cool tool because that will allow you to mix doughs. Now, we are not using those because we're making a batter. We're not making a dough. So that's why I didn't use those. But I'm going to try them the next time I make pizza dough and see how they do. Because I kind of like the fact that I don't have to bring out the big KitchenAid if I just want to make a small amount of dough. Okay, so you can get those. They're very hard to find. They don't come with the mixer. So there's like off brands, but those are the actual ones because they have the same connectors that go in there. So they make universal ones and they make ones that fit this. Okay, so the next step is we need the zest of 1 lemon. Okay, so again, we're going to use our microplane because microplane really does a great job of zesting. That was one of their first tools that they brought to the market. And when you're zesting, you have to be careful that you get the rind, but not the white, okay, the pith of the lemon, because that's bitter. But this is just chock full of the essential oils. I'm going to also give a little insight that I think is a good idea for lemons. Okay, if you are using a lemon like I am now, where you're going to use the rind and the grate off the zest like this. I really recommend you spend a little extra money and get the organic. And the reason why is because your main focus here is the exterior of the lemon. Most of the time, when you are using a lemon, you're using the interior. So what's sprayed on the outside, or that component of the lemon, you may just throw out. I don't. I always zest the lemon. I even zest them. Um, I pulp them, and then I freeze it because it's really useful to make all sorts of things. But I'll show you some of the things I make at a later time. But the zest, when you're doing something like this, you really want to make sure you have the best outside. Something that's organic is not going to be sprayed. So you're not going to have any pesticides or chemicals sprayed on the lemon crop, on the exterior. So that's why you really want to use an organic lemon. Just spend the extra money. Sometimes they're even like the same price. So if that's the case, why the heck not? Um, okay, so I'm gonna, and you could see the zest is in there, so you gotta kind of bang it in there to get that in there. Okay, so there's our lemon zested, and we're not gonna throw this away. We're gonna use it later for juicing for something else. Not in this video, but that's what I'm gonna do. So now with that, we're gonna add the oil. Okay, now there's 12 tablespoons of olive oil in here. So that's 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. Now, this is my other variation. You can use olive oil. Don't use extra virgin olive oil. That's something that you really don't want to use. You want to use regular olive oil, or even better yet, get the light olive oil, because it doesn't have any flavor, but it's got all the nutrients and good uh, of the olive oil. Here's my variation. I made it half and half, okay, because we typically use butter in our pizzelle recipe. So I'm using butter, 6 tablespoons of butter, and 6 tablespoons of olive oil, just so that you have a rich mixture. Okay, so we're going to add that in, and then we're going to combine this. Just get these combined. And the butter was melted, but it was cooled down. You need to make sure you do that so that you don't scramble your eggs. Okay. Okay. So we are just about there. We have to add our last ingredient, which is the flour. Okay. And I have 4 cups of flour here. You want to use the 00 flour. You can also use all-purpose flour, but those are the 2 flours that you want to use. If you have 00, use that. It really is good. If not, use all-purpose. What I did for the all-purpose, which is what I'm using, I sifted it. So I measured it out, and then I sifted it, which you probably have seen me do before. Okay, it just gives it a better texture. And since we're making a batter, you want a really smooth texture. Okay, so we're going to add little by little this till it's all combined. Okay. Okay, so we have our dough here. Okay, and our dough is very, very thick. Okay, and that's what you want. You want it to be thick so it holds its shape. Okay, and I'm using this, which I'm going to say my grandparents were thinking of me in sharing this with me. So in the box with their Pizzelle iron, they have this great tool that allows you to just push off the mixture. Okay, so I think that's going to make this a lot easier. Okay, so we're going to come back when all the Pizzelle irons are heated. They take a little bit of time to get heated up, and then I'm going to show you how to make them, what they look like, and we'll take a little tour of the Pizzelle iron. All right, so we'll be right back. Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens, we're going to take a little tour of our Pizzelle irons. So this one is my grandparents. That's the Junta one, and I think that that one is ready. So we're going to start with that one. Like I said, this was sold by a company in Philadelphia called Junta Brothers, and they, I'm quite certain, contracted out with Palmer to make these for them. Okay, so if anyone knows anything about Pizzelle irons, please let me know what you know about these. This one, Miss Dania here, so I'm calling her. She is a mysterious gal to me. Okay, she is very heavy duty. Okay, she is a single Pizzelle maker. I'm quite certain she was made in Philadelphia because I've only ever seen her in this area. And she is she's a mysterious gal. If you look on the bottom, she literally, all she says is Dania and 500 watts. Okay, then over here, we have a Toastmaster. And this one's great because it's a double. You can do waffles or pizzelles. And it has a preset uh, setting for waffles. Let's see if I could get down there. Maybe I'll just hold it up. Okay, it's got a preset. It's hard to see that waffle because it's in silver. That has its own setting, and then there's a setting just for pizzelles. Okay, so they're all about ready, but let's use grandmom and grandpop, or grandpop's Pizzelle iron. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Actually, I'm going to move it over here a little bit. Okay, now when you start, you have to first grease it the first time. Okay, and I highly recommend you use Pam. Okay, because it coats, it absorbs into the metal, like not into the metal, but into all these intricate parts. Okay, and it just, I think it's going to really prevent it from sticking. Okay, so I'm going to see how this works. I would imagine that this measurement worked for my grandparents, so I'm going to go by this and see. The first couple pizzelles, it's just like anything else. The first couple are going to be not the best, okay? So we're going to push that down. And then this one is really great because it has like a little lock that you can lock it down, okay? And while that's cooking, they don't cook very long. I'm going to go over to the Toastmaster and I'm going to put those in as well because this is a lot of batter. So I got a lot of pizzelles to make. And I really like the design. If you saw they have this tree design on the Toastmaster is beautiful. It looks like the tree of life. So I really am excited to see how these come out. I think they're going to be a lot thinner than the other ones. This batter also is um, a lot less liquidy than what I'm used to with my normal pizzelle recipe. Okay, so this is like really a lot thicker of a pizzelle recipe. Okay, and we're gonna look. I'm gonna bring a little uh, knife over here because this inevitably happens. Some of the pizzelle comes off. Okay, so there's our pizzelles. Okay, and it looks like I could put a little bit more on there. Okay, and then you cool them. Okay, and again, the first couple ones, see, you get a little bit of um, I don't know what you would call that, just a little residual in there. Okay, so I'm gonna just put it bigger, and I'm gonna put it back a little bit too. Okay, so the great thing about, because this dough is a little thicker, it does allow you to kind of play around with it. Okay, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Okay. Oh, Miss Dania, you're taking your good old time to heat up. Okay, so these are the ones from the Toastmaster. So quite the opposite happened. They actually got a lot thicker than I thought. So I'm actually going to put much less batter on those and see if that works. That I was not expecting. Okay, I'm going to put a very small amount of batter, like half of this measure here. Come on, Miss Dania, heat up. I want to see what you can do. I'm very, I love my appliances, so I'm very I personify my appliances a lot. So, and I'm gonna see the annoying thing with this Toastmaster is it doesn't have a clamp. So if I want to pop it down, I got to pop it down. But I don't think this is going to give me my thin pizzelle that I'm used to. So maybe that's a downside of that one. Oh, wow. These kind of puffed up too. That is very interesting. These are a little thick too. Okay, so you know what? Maybe it's just the quantity of batter. So I think I'm going to just keep it where it's at. This is a very interesting. I'm going to hold this down. Maybe that will give me a little bit better. So I don't have the luxury with the Toastmaster to do that. Okay. So if I want to get really thin pizzelle, I think that one is not going to give it to me. So these first ones that came out, that's what you're looking for. That's what I'm used to. And see, there we got those. So the other thing is these pizzelle iron, they have a very heavy metal plate. Okay. So That's a little bit different than the Toastmaster over there because it actually has like a much smaller, like a thinner. The plates are thinner. The top of the iron has like no heft at all. Okay, but these are doing pretty good. The old standbys. Okay, so for Toastmaster, that was a good. It was a good idea, but I don't think it's making the pizzelles that I'm used to. We're getting more of these thick ones. It's a lot of build up moisture in here. It's interesting. Okay, you know what? We got a little bit better here. Okay, so these are a little more done than I like. You want like this doneness. Like this is a perfect pizzelle. Okay, it's crispy, it's light, it's not too heavy. Okay, you know what? We're gonna go on and see if Miss Donnie is ready. I think she's ready. I think she's just a little coy with her light here. Okay, so we're just gonna give it a little spray. And then we're gonna put a little pizzelle in her. Okay, so these are coming out great. Of course, Grandma and Grandpa's is perfect every time. All right, let's pop some into Dania. Again, the first one is going to be a little, here, let me shift this one over so you could see Miss Dania. And I'm going to hold her down because she doesn't have a clamp. Okay, she doesn't have a clamp like the other ones. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Well, that was a little. She got a little too hot, I think. She's ready. Maybe a little too ready. Okay. Let's try her again. Maybe she needs a little less time. Okay. Yeah, I think she gets a little too. She's a quick one. She makes quick work of this. So maybe that's why she's only a single, because she doesn't need. She gets them done in a quicker time. Okay, wow. So let me try and get the. Put a little. See, it's very hard. This is like a lot of cooking. These things are meant to be done with family. Okay, it's meant to be done with a couple people. So these are really fun things to do when you have a bunch of people, bunch of family around, and you can kind of give people tasks to do. Okay. Wow, she is quick. Miss Dania. Okay, that was like 5 seconds she was done. Okay. So now I know. Can't lollygag around with Miss Dania. She's ready to rock and roll. Okay, look at that. So, see, this is the thing. This is the thing with having new equipment, ones that you're used to, ones that you're not used to. You have to get acclimated to them. Okay, so I'm gonna give her some attention here. We're gonna see what she can do. So I'm gonna count this. Okay, put it on there. Close it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's done. Okay, so, and that's probably even a little too much. She could probably go for 4. Let's see. Let's see about 4 seconds. This is great. So I'm thinking that this, and this would make a lot of sense because the feel of this machine is like a commercial, like commercial equipment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 is optimal to get the perfect pizzelle on this machine. That's a perfect pizzelle. I think that this was made as a commercial. Oh boy. I think this was made as a commercial machine. Okay. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Yeah. I had my suspicions. I really did. I had my suspicions that these were made, if not for commercial, at least made like for businesses, and they were made for like a high volume situation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And that's definitely working that way. Okay, so let's give this a try. Oh, wow. It's very good. It's light. It's very fresh, very lemony. It's a really tasty pizzelle. It's different than what I'm used to, but in the doldrums of winter, this is a really nice kind of, getting ready for summer. So I highly recommend this recipe. We'll do another one with my traditional recipe, but this is really a winner of a recipe. Okay, so I hope you try it. I hope you look for pizzelles, see if you can find them around, and I hope you enjoyed my collection. We'll go into more detail later. I'll show you all my pizzelle and all the different manufacturers, but I figured I'd give you a little smattering of some of the pizzelles makers I have. All right, bye for now, Kings and Queens.